Hello, hello. This is Irene with SaugaTalks, and I'm incredibly happy today because I got a fabulous guest. I got a fantastic speaker and guest and very remarkable person with me here. So a couple words about SaugaTalks. First of all, I'm Irene. I'm talking to incredible guests weekly, okay? I'm talking about business and tech and life outside of business and tech because we're all human, and this is a very fluent series of conversations with smart people where I get to learn from incredible community of influencers, experts, entrepreneurs, and just nice people. All right, so I'm very privileged to be here today with Frannie Matthews. She is the CEO and the president of Colorado Technology Association, with incredible pedigree in technology and business. That's why, Frannie, thank you so very much for your time today.
Oh, Irene, thank you for having me. I love talking about this stuff.
Yes, this stuff. We're going to be talking about stuff. And for audience out there, this stuff is going to be about what I just mentioned. It's about digital business. It's about economy around us. It's about what Frannie is seeing in Colorado tech community, but actually beyond that, I'm sure as well. So we'll talk about human environment we're all in. We're gonna be digging a little bit into remote work. We'll talk about how businesses transforming what they do, how they do things now, and a little bit about future, because we're all thinking about, right? What is it post-pandemic? What's our lives gonna be? What our professional skills, any talent, right? What kind of world we're gonna be living in. So Frannie, the stage is yours. Please tell me how you feeling, what's new in your life, what's new in business and tech around you.
Well, I would say if I were to pick one word on how I'm feeling optimistic. I think that we're in a very tumultuous time in many different fronts, and certainly to summarize my general feeling is it's optimism. We are in the middle of a lot of disruptive things, from a business perspective and certainly from a society perspective. And COVID-19 has been a major disruptor for the last 3 months or so. And we've seen some good things happen. Colorado has been decreasing steadily. And we have reopened, and we're very careful. But what we saw in March was IT just did heroics to get their organizations set up so that they could work from home. Most IT organizations already had a work from home policy to some degree, but their business units didn't. And so from a business continuity perspective, those organizations that were, digitally ready and had good process for business continuity, we saw make very quick adjustments. There's things that need to happen. People need to have broadband, they have to have, the right equipment, and certainly a focus on cybersecurity. And, I have story after story of just really awesome things that happen. The other thing is that IT has been for a long time a central part of business, solutions and core to any business. But in this instance, we saw it really be, melded into business transformation. And I'll give you an example of that. One of our Colorado companies is Angie's Home Services, and they have people going into homes to either fix something or to do an improvement, and they were considered essential workers. But you can't do it in the same way and be effective. So they use technology, kind of like telemedicine, to diagnose and know what they were going to do and know the scope of the work. And then they minimized who came into the house by, again, using video conferencing. So one person might go in now as opposed to 3, and they could consult over, using technology. So minimizing exposure, and then certainly lots of other things about, touchless payment, that kind of stuff. So you saw all of this happening really quickly. I think another great example is business or banks handling the PPP. That, this was an immediate response needed, and they didn't have the system set up, and we saw systems stand up really quickly, and the process changed dramatically. So, to me, I'm optimistic about what we're able to do.
Good, that makes two of us. That makes two of us, because speaking with my guests, I get similar vibe in a way that, hey, right, we're in this challenge, and yes, some businesses more ready than others. All right, so we already talked about kind of digital capabilities some businesses inherited from previous times, and for some it's really pretty disruptive at the moment, right? So what do you see your community thinking about remote work? Because I have strong opinion, you have years of experience working both ways, right? What do you see happening out there?
Yeah, and Irene, you and I both worked for IBM for a number of years, and IBM had a work from home policy the entire time I worked for them, which was 18 years. I didn't really, it becomes part of your DNA that you're working from home, and you figure out what your process is. And for me, I love working from home. Now, there are issues that, it's different in, for some things. Like, I don't find it really easy to do from the bottom up ideation when people are remote. Even with great technology, there's something that I find more, inspiring to be in a room and, really have the 3D version of people. But we can make it work. There's some great technologies. We use Jamboard, for instance, that allows you to put sticky notes up just like you would in a room when you're ideating and kind of doing a design thinking kind of session. And, you can make it work. I think that as we move forward and talking to our companies in Colorado, we're going to wind up with a hybrid approach. I don't think we're going to go back to the work in the office as strongly as we had. And part of that is that I think tech talent is going to want the ability to work from home. There's a lot of positives on not being interrupted, that focused ability to do deep work when you are, a little bit sequestered. So that's in general. And we just did a survey, and the survey said that, the vast majority, it was like almost 90%, said that they expect work from home to be integrated into their strategy moving forward. But, I think in the medium term, we've got some challenges, because when we went home and did, safer at home strategy, it was very cut and dry. And now we're going back to, it's a little bit gray area, and it's, the social distancing is more difficult. And so I'm seeing a lot of companies be conservative because it's very difficult to be going back and forth. We personally have not been in the office, since March 13th. We're working remotely. However, every week since we have, since the guidelines would allow it, we've met in parks, and everybody brought their lunches, and we sat in a very large circle, social distancing outside, and it was good for all of us. And we've had great, strategy sessions sitting in a park under a tree. Exactly. We've also had squirrels join.
I'm so happy you brought it up, because office or no office, right? It can be hybrid. It can be just exactly what you mentioned it's going to be. So it's not a mandatory 9 to 5, or rather 8 to 8 sometimes. You know, we've seen those years, right, happening, but at the same time, yes, just flexibility, right? And when you really need the team together, you can gather the team together and have an incredibly productive and fun time. I'm all for that, right? I'm for options and I'm for flexibility. So of course, from managing commercial real estate standpoint, it doesn't work like that, right? But I'm sure world will adapt. We're human, we adapt and we succeed, right, with the next challenge and the next kind of shape we're in. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think, you know, being comfortable with the rate of change, well, yeah, I don't know, I shouldn't say that because I don't think any of us are truly comfortable with the rate of change. It's overwhelming when you think of what's, you know, the exponential change in innovation. But I do think that what it opens up is opportunities and new ways of thinking. And so, you know, we'll find an equilibrium. You know, it will wind up having new business models pop up, and I don't think that we're not going to stop gathering. It's part of human nature, but it's going to be different, and it's going to be different for you know, the foreseeable future until we have this pandemic you know, completely under control. You know, I'm really happy with what's happened in Colorado because we've had great leadership. We've had great citizenship, you know, and really paying attention to the social distancing, wearing masks in public, and our numbers went down. We are at risk of having, like many states, having them go back up again. But if people keep being smart, it's not expected that they will. So, you know, I think we could get to the new normal and be able to, you know, get through this and then pop out the other side better. And, you know, we'll see what happens, but I think that there is call for optimism. I will tell you that, you know, I mentioned that we did a survey, and we did it in May, and then we did it in June. We just finished it up. And what we found was that, you know, 61% of our surveyed executives, and it was top executives, said that there has been no negative impact to their business. Yeah.
Excellent. That is excellent news. Yeah. Yeah.
And about 50% of them were true IT companies, but we look at technology as being ubiquitous. And so it was a pretty horizontal survey, and we did have a significant sample size. And 21% said they've actually seen an uptick in business. So, you know, that's promising. The 74% said that they either are going to keep their same strategy or focus on growth opportunities in this market. So I'm thinking that's really a positive thing. But I will say that hiring is lagging. I think the first two statistics say, you know, it is lagging and it'll pick up. But we have seen that 29% only 29% of the companies surveyed said that they were hiring at the same rate or an increased hiring. Now, I am hearing anecdotally from companies that say this is a great opportunity to pick up top talent, and so they're leaning in and starting to grab talent and you know, betting on the future earlier. So our overall unemployment rate in Colorado is 10%, which that's high, but it's not high relative to the rest of the country. And so we've seen it go down dramatically in the last month. So I'm optimistic.
I hear you. You know, talking about talent, okay, and hiring capability for businesses, all right? So where do you think the growth will come from? Is it tech mainly, or it's across the business? Because frankly, yeah, everyone suffered in all these segments, right, in the economy. some hit more than others for sure, right? So where do you think it will happen in Colorado or beyond?
Yeah, I think tech is going to be a leader. I truly do. We have, this is a global issue of having a tech talent gap. And so we were, in the industry experiencing negative unemployment in tech, meaning that people had two jobs, So
yeah, shortage of qualified resources, frankly, right? Because I know what's happening around me here. So absolutely. That said, let's talk about younger population here. Let's talk about college kids, college grads, post grads, those who entering the workforce right now in tech or business, okay? Because sometimes it just intertwined together, right? So what's your point of view? What's like kind of good message for the kids out there starting their
Now, the fortunate thing about kids that are coming right out of college is that they are digitally literate, right? Because this is what
they're born digitally. Okay, I forget that they being born the old-fashioned.
That's right.
I think they're all kind of half robots, half our children, but that's okay. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, my daughters put up with my slow texting. But I do think that there's a positive in that. I mean, one of the biggest concerns that I have just in general is the digital gap that we are, if we don't do something about it, it's going to be a problem in this country. We cannot leave large groups behind. So for somebody coming out of college, my assumption is that they're pretty digitally literate. I think that, continually working on your skills regardless of what your discipline is. Your tech skills are incredibly important to you being a functioning business person in the future. I also look at it we need lots of pathways. There are a lot of jobs that certainly do not require college degrees to get into tech, and there's lots of ways to get to them. We've got certificate programs, we've got online programs. I would say it's a little distributed now, that sometimes it's hard to find the right place to get the right skills that are accessible and work into your lifestyle. If you've got a full-time job and kids and you're trying to upskill, you need to have a program that would accommodate that kind of thing, and so it's not one size fits all. College is absolutely an option, but it is not the only option. And it may be there's other places to have an on-ramp to getting your skills really at a very, very high level. But you can do, online programming, programs that allow you to increase your ability to earn money really quickly at a pretty low cost.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you know what, again, speaking with my esteemed guest over here, more and more, bringing up a good point. Hey, Stanford University, just one example, okay? They offer free college classes online to get started. So you will not get their diploma, but you will get the skills to proceed from what level you are, as long as you do have the connection to internet, which in this country, again, right, accessible, but again, it has to be accessible basically to everyone, like you said, to monetize and to benefit from the digital economy we're all in. Absolutely. But educational options are vast. Here near me, there is a fantastic community college. What they do, they offer flexible hours, they offer flexible programs, and like you mentioned, certifications, right, is the way in. So college or no college, right? I mean, with shortage of resources we just talked about, especially high tech, right? Things can be done, right, on individual level. So good.
Well, and I think hiring companies have gotten really smart. If you look at, for instance, data science, if you hire a highly skilled data scientist and you don't hire the people in other parts of that discipline, like data science, if if you kept having the data scientists having to cleanse the data themselves, they're going to say, wait a minute, I have these skills, and if I don't use them, I'm going to get stale, and it's going to affect my ability to earn a living. If I don't have the right support structure, I'm going to move. And so it's a entire view of how you create an ecosystem in your company. I'm incredibly passionate about this because I just think that it's important for our communities to have access. And I mean, a lot of people don't know what massively open online courses are. You can go on to a platform like Coursera and take classes via auditing for free and really get a tremendous amount of skills, or pay for the certificate. But I look at credentialing, whether it's a 4-year degree, a master's degree, or a certification, as a representation of expertise. And so that piece of paper doesn't do you anything, or digital certificate doesn't do you anything if you didn't gain the expertise. So it's a mindset change that we need to make societally and at the individual level, that we are in an era that we've never been in before, and it is lifelong learning and upskilling. And so I kind of joke, in higher education, that the first word that needs to be stricken from the vocabulary is alumni.
Mm-hmm.
That higher education should have that relationship that is considered lifelong. And that's, that to me should be the business model.
Exactly. What was your life journey though? I never asked. Do you have technical background to prepare you for career in technology, or how did your life go?
Well, it's interesting because I have always been, I call it a translator. I've been leading sales teams in technology for a very long time. And so the importance of that is understanding the basis of the technology and how it applies and why it's relevant. And so I've always liked that side of the business. But I found myself calling on telecommunications companies and didn't have the skills to have that articulate conversation. And so I decided I was going to pick up a class on telecommunications management, and I wound up getting a master's in it because it was so fascinating. And so I really liked it. And, I have found that you got to seek where your deficits are and then figure it out how you solve them. A couple of years ago, my daughters were home and we were sitting over at the table, and my one daughter asked my other one if she thought it would be worthwhile to take an R class online. I thought I was going to weep openly at the dinner table. I'm like, I just love that you're thinking about it.
Good. So fantastic. You know what? We live, we learn. Look at me now. I'm a broadcaster now on YouTube, and this is so much fun that, frankly, right, some of the disappointments or slow growth or something, that we face every day, hey, this is part of the journey, like you said, okay? And as long as we're improving, as long as we're doing something that makes sense for us, and I have a huge benefit of meeting incredible people like yourself.
Well, and I think if we're not looking for silver linings, it would be kind of a bummer.
It will be. So what do you think is ahead of us? How about speed of technology and speed of business ideation, I would say, right? Will change our world because it's going to be new business models. It's going to be.
Well, I think so. And, I'm trying to think of is it MarTech? MarTech's law, which talks about innovation coming at us in an exponential rate. And we see, time after time, data that show that we've got AI, IoT, the 5G technologies, robotics, some of the things that have been happening in genomics and bioscience. I mean, all these things working together have synergies, and all of a sudden you see, and for us to keep up with that, it's very difficult. And we're seeing, in general, organizations moving at a more logarithmic pace than an exponential pace. I think that we are going to see that starting to close. I think that COVID was a big aha for us on how fast we can move. I think that non-technical business leaders have gone, oh, wait, we did this? Well, what else can we do? And so I do think that we're going to have a speed up on this. And, we have a lot of things to deal with in that. We have to talk about ethics. We have to talk about, privacy. We have to figure out how we have transparent AI and ethical AI. And so the kind of interesting point on this is it's technology led, and yet it requires human leadership and going back to some of the basics of ethics and how we work together as a society. And that's another reason that I'm optimistic, because I think humans are wonderful, and I think using technology to augment how wonderful we are is the right thing to do. But I also think we need to be smart about it.
Oh, totally. Humans are wonderful. With that, we're gonna complete the talk for today. Frannie, please come back. Please come back to SaugaTalks, because it's changing around us fast. I want to stay in touch with all my guests, because frankly, they're doing fabulous things in this fabulous world with fabulous humans you just mentioned.
I like that. Let's do the mic drop with the last thing. Humans
we'll
are
do that. I'll invite few of my guests together. We'll have panels of wisdom and power, intellectual power. How about that?
I love it, Irene. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much. Audience out there, subscribe and follow SaugaTalks on LinkedIn. I post regularly LinkedIn and Twitter. Great tool I discovered. It's not new, but it works. Anyhow, so Frannie, thank you so very much. Lots of success to Colorado Technology Association and businesses. So absolutely, have a fantastic summer. Thank you.
Take care.